How the squad yourself feeling ahead of this one?
I think there's a bit of general excitement, of course, when you get to this stage of cup competition. The fact you're playing at home, the fact you're playing under the lights, I think it always has that wee extra special feel. I don't think it gives you a God-given right to think that you're going to get through. I just think that for players and staff and supporters alike, then I always think it just has that slightly different feel to it from the league action. I know we've not been going in the league very long so far, but I think when you've worked hard to get to this stage, then you always look forward to the occasion.
And just on that, where do you think the team's at the moment in terms of where you want it to be?
Yeah, I think I think you can see we're extremely competitive. I think that's been really evident in every game so far, and I'm quite proud, to be fair, over my tenure that always has seemed to be the case. But I think it always seems to be the case because of what we get out of the players every single day, with their buy-in, with their application to what we're trying to achieve. Now, I'm a perfectionist, the same as most, if not all, managers. That I do think at times we can play better. I think we can create more chances. We'll always lean back on goals that we concede and think that there's ways of fixing that. But I always think there has to be a humility and understanding that you deal with human beings, and at this point in time I think I'm getting an awful lot out of the group of players. But with more options coming back to the table, with guys coming back to fitness, we're getting people fitter, we have spending more time just in general running about the place and on the training pitch, then I genuinely believe that we will continue to facilitate and help, as I would always talk about it, players becoming better. So that bit excites me, that bit's something I always look forward to without getting carried away and trying to wish a season away. I just think through time you'll always evolve and you'll always improve if we're doing our work, if we're passing that message across. And the bit that I would always speak about is trying to build those relationships with the individuals and trying to sort of manage and get the best out of the people that you have here at the football club. So there's a lot of excitement and a lot of positivity around this football club. Even though we lost the game on Saturday, I think most, if not all, people would see that we were very much in that game and that there wasn't a great deal between the two sides throughout stretches of the contest. And I think with the plaudits and the run that Aberdeen are on just now, I think that's a little bit that we have to be positive about in a sense as well.
Just talking about the excitement, Stuart, the carrot of place at Hampden dangled in front of the squad must excite them too.
Yeah, well, listen, there's some guys have experienced it in our group several times, and there's some that haven't. People that are new to Scottish football. It's a place that's got a special place, if you like, in my heart. From growing up as a young player at Queen's Park and playing there, not in front of huge crowds, as you'll understand, but it was kind of my backdrop and my background and my education in the game was spending a lot of time there. So I've always had this desperate desire as a player, a coach, or a manager to make sure that you get involvement in big games there, and you want to try and get there without getting carried away with yourself. But as we all say as managers, how many opportunities do you have to go in cup runs throughout the average career? You sort of break that down, you can be talking about maybe 30 opportunities or something like that through the average kind of career. So I always speak to players about not wasting those opportunities. I think 2018 was the last time that Motherwell were at Hampden other than for a league fixture against Rangers, ironically, earlier in the season. But undoubtedly you want to get the dying embers at cup competitions, and you want to go and try and give your supporters that day out and that opportunity to get involved in it. I think this club has some real good history going there. I think there's some unbelievable backing, and some supporters will tell you there's been some amazing memories along the way of trying to get to Hampden. I speak about that as if it becomes a simple task. It's going to be an incredibly difficult one. Watched Dundee United again at the weekend. They're a good side. They're really well organised. They've got some good players. They look as if they've done some shrewd business. And you talk about a team jumping up from the Championship, but I think we all know the context of it. Dundee United are a very big club in this country. They always have been, probably always will be. So we know what to expect, and we know how difficult a challenge it's going to be. And for us to start thinking about anything else and getting ourselves carried away would just be really, really naive. So we just need to concentrate and be in our best version. But of course, when you look at what the community's pouring into it at Motherwell, we've got umpteen volunteers out just now going door to door, handing out flyers, leaflets to drum up a bit of support and see if we can get as many people in here as we possibly can. We're a proper community club, that's what we are, and I think that's been really evident over the last few days, weeks, where everybody in the community is sort of buying into that excitement of the cup competition. And my job's to go and make sure that the players give the supporters and everyone that comes here to back us on Friday something to cheer about.
You mentioned after the game against Aberdeen where you expressed your frustration about the official not adding on extra minute, and the referee said it will stop causing trouble. I know Willie Cullen's been very open in terms of a dialogue with managers if they're unhappy with situations. Is that something you had a conversation about with Willie? No,
there's been no contact with me whatsoever. I was obviously, I spoke to the press afterwards, just because I'm a little bit perplexed as to why we didn't play a full minute extra that we were told by the fourth official. So there's been no explanation to me as to why that happens, and probably my understanding off the back of that is that we need to expect that we're going to be playing 30 seconds if we think there's an extra minute, or 45 seconds as it were in our case if there's an extra minute, unless I'm told otherwise.
You mentioned those leaflets. How much would it mean to the players to get a bit crowd in here? Was there something special as well? You mentioned the under the lights, a Friday night's a wee bit different as well.
Yeah, I was really positive in so many ways, and again the football match will always take care of itself. That's the most important thing. But I was really eager and really keen for the game to be on the Friday night, because I always just feel that there is something that wee bit more special, with all due respect, if it's later in a Saturday night, or sometimes later on a Sunday afternoon or whatever. It's not to say it doesn't become a good occasion. I just feel that I come from a really honest, hard working background, and when you go out and do your week's graft and you go out and you earn your money to go and try and come and watch and support your football team, I think there's an extra good feeling about that you finish that 5 days of work, and on a Friday night the working man or woman for that fact can go and have a couple of drinks, come and watch their team and enjoy it with their friends and their family. So I'm big into that. I'm someone that really sees the bit of sentiment in that, and as I say, hopefully we as a football club can try and deliver a performance that matches what could be a nice weekend for Motherwell supporters.
You mentioned your formative years at Hampden as a player. You also had success there with Ross County. How big is that when you look back at your playing career? Is that something you can stress to the players, that it's a chance to make memories that will last a lifetime?
Yeah, I think I don't know. I think sometimes we without opening the biggest can of worms ever here, I think sometimes we just look at the monetary aspect of football. I think we look at people wanting security. I think people looking at win bonuses and all these different things. But again, I was probably brought up in a simpler time with a simpler mindset that your career's defined by success. That's how I look at it. I think all the good things in football, i.e. money, contracts and all that type of stuff, happen off the back of success, and I've always been someone massive into the fact that I certainly wasn't the greatest player in the world, but I'm proud as punch of the medals that I was able to win, and promotions and various different things that I've been able to achieve, and those are the things that I'm genuinely most proud of. And I think trying to get players into that mindset and have that same thought process tends to breed success, because you have a real hunger for it. Whether you're able to achieve it, whether there's disappointment in there, can always be a factor of life, not just football. But for me, I just want young players. We're talking about young Lennon and Ewan Wilson just now has been the kind of two youngest members of our starting 11 as it looks at this minute in time. There's no substitute for those memories, those bits of success. And for me, what that starts to build in your CV, how do you write on a CV about contracts, money, cars and all these different types of things? But you know what, silverware was always and still is always probably to my mind the most important thing, and what every single football player, coach, manager should be striving for. And in the game on Friday, we give ourselves a chance to take another step in that journey.
Stuart, are there any of the sort of guys who have been sort of injured maybe a wee bit longer term, sort of pushing for action on Friday night, or at least had a chance of being involved?
Yeah, the honest answer is no. I think we're getting ever so close with Apostolos, Johnny Katrumbis and Shane Blaney. Johnny, I mentioned to you guys last week, is still just that wee bit further away because he's missed a bit more football. but they've not done any contact, they've not been involved in any contact within training. We're hoping that they'll get to that in the next day or so, possibly tomorrow, with all three, if not a couple of them. So probably not ready for Friday, but definitely edging closer.
When you look at the options you were able to bring on Saturday, despite the fact you've still got a host of guys injured, that just show you the sort of depth you've got at your disposal even now when you still are carrying a few injuries? Yeah,
it was positive. It really was positive for me to be able to turn around to my bench, and it's not so much seeing the numbers, it's more seeing the different profiles is something that I always look at, you know, kind of throw something else at the game that's a wee bit different from what we have. If you're looking to freshen something up, I've not always been a big fan of just like for like. You know, I think sometimes you have to bring a slightly different profile, especially when you're losing a game of football as we were at the time. So no, that's been positive for me, and hopefully, as this always goes, we want as much harmony within our group. There needs to be an acceptance that not everybody can play, and I'm very straight that way with players, very upfront, very honest when they're playing and when they're not playing. You know, I don't shut that at any point, but hopefully that breeds a real level of competitiveness within our group, and a real strength and depth that we will inevitably need over the course of a season, because you know we're competing on a League Cup front just now. Within the league, you know, the Scottish Cup starts to get added into the mix, suspensions, further injuries, hopefully not, but sometimes it's part and parcel of the game, so we think that we're going to need every single one of them across the course of the season.
Tony Watt is of course ineligible, so I put a little bit more responsibility on the other strikers there, knowing that he's not there to maybe come up.
Yeah, it's just it's a bit of clarity where Tony's been available for us the last couple of weeks, certainly coming off the bench, and I thought he had a really positive impact at Pittodrie at the weekend. Had a goal involvement obviously, and an assist for Moses. It's just simple that we know that Tony's not available, so yeah, maybe a wee bit more onus on the guys that are available, but I'm sure they'll tell you that they're well motivated for it, and they have been in recent weeks, even with Tony being available in there as well.
Sure, just on the kind of try to drum up support again with the leaflets going out, does that kind of highlight the kind of different feeling to this match, and how did that come about?
No, I just think, like all these things, I probably don't speak about it enough, because we've obviously got an unbelievable team here, but I think what people tend to forget with football clubs in all different sizes and natures, there's been an awful lot documented on us as a football club, you know, being fan owned, and the potential external investment was a big story obviously for a number of months, but what we are is a fan owned community football club. I for one would love to celebrate that, and I think what you start to see with initiatives like this one is that the supporters are proud as punch of their team and their town, and I think that's just another little indication that they want to celebrate that, and they want to try and make this place as noisy and as colourful as they possibly can do on Friday, with the incentive of it being a cup quarter final. Then I'm sure that always does have that little bit of an extra edge to it. And I think when you've not been to Hampden and you've maybe not had that cup run in a number of years, I mentioned 2018, and you know, really good success then getting to a couple of cup finals under Stephen Robinson, then those are great, but I think you'll sense that the supporters want to feel that again, and they want to experience that again. But that's one initiative I speak about, but I can assure you, and you'll know this yourself, that this football club's absolutely tremendous with our community trust and the work that they do round about. I wouldn't have enough time to sit here and talk about every single initiative, but this is one that obviously relates directly to the match on Friday, so well worth highlighting.
And you must feel that a cup run, the positive impact that could have on the league as well.
Yeah, I just talk about winning games of football all the time. Is, you know, build a momentum by winning games. We felt good about ourselves going into the game against Aberdeen at the weekend because we're off the back of 3 victories, one of which was in the cup, obviously 2 in the league. A last minute winner, it does breed confidence, there's no doubt about that, and we don't prioritise this game over any other one. It's just the fact that it's the very next game, and I'm always trying to get the players into the mindset of whatever it is, you know, a bounce game in training, whether it's a game out here on Friday against Dundee United, quarter final of the cup. Our motivation's always to win, our motivation's always to perform to our absolute best, and if we get into that mindset, I think Falkirk's an unbelievable example in Scotland at this minute in time, where you just get into this habit of winning games of football. Fortunate to experience as a player, I think over 40 games, which was it's quite a powerful thing when you just start winning games and nobody believes that you can actually lose one. So we're always trying to create that environment round about here. Very, very difficult to achieve, and you know, I'm going off topic, but full credit to John and his team, because they've just got that feeling about their group. I've watched them a few times, but I think it's fair to say that everybody points to that and says that that's what you're trying to achieve at your football club.
Just away from Motherwell, St Johnson's decision in terms of Craig Levein, did that take you by surprise? Massively. Craig's somebody that I respect so much in the game, somebody that I got on really well with. You know, post match we scored a last minute winner against him, as you know, a couple of weeks ago, and I think just a sign of the man and a mark of the man is that he's utter class after the game. You know, sometimes think how I would feel and how I might behave sometimes when you lose that last minute goal, but just somebody with a wealth of experience. I think we've all got to say that Craig's done a good job, you know, as well. I think we you know, in my opinion, I can only speak off the back of my opinion. My young son is a part of their academy up there and stuff like that, so I'm not saying there's a connection as such, but you know, you find yourself up and about the football club. I think they're a very good football club, St Johnstone, but I'm a wee bit surprised at that decision with the fact that it's certainly not been the worst start to the season that they've had, and the fact that Craig's task obviously was to keep them up last season, which was exactly what he'd done, and avoided the relegation playoffs. I think most of us in Scottish football would be a little bit surprised in the timing and how that's came about, but again, not my fight, not my priority, but just purely from a football standpoint and management standpoint, it's just another one that goes in there and probably highlights why I think the third longest serving manager in the top flight with 19 months.